Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com. Elevate your brand with Mako Custom Printing. Mako Custom Printing specializes in creating high-quality spiritware, corporate apparel, and promotional products that make your brand stand out. Whether you need custom printing, graphic design, or an online store for your school or business, we've got you covered. Make a statement with Mako Custom Printing. Visit us at mako.com to start your custom printing journey today. That's MEHCO.com.
All right, welcome everybody to Sports on Tap. This is our summer spotlight presented by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance. Make sure you check out his website, rayfelton.com. We want to thank him, and along with all of our other sponsors, for you got to hear some information about that, and you'll hear a little bit more about our sponsors later. You are watching this live on the YouTube channel. We are at Sports on Tap. Make sure you like and subscribe to get the notifications, and we are about to go on to the air. Our website is sportsontap.podcast.com. We are also at Facebook at Sports on Tap. Make sure you follow us on Twitter/X at SOT Podcast. We're also on Threads at SOT Podcast, _ podcast, sorry. And then any questions, comments, or suggestions, email us at sportsontap.podcast@gmail.com. My name is Ed Dick, alongside Josh Jeffy and Noah Jacobson. Both Sean Duffy and Rob Troutman are out on assignment. And quite honestly, we love having Duffy here. I don't want to see that stupid belt that I failed to win, that he continually trolls us on. So I'm okay not having to see that today. But that's not about this. We are talking about the Brunswick High School girls track and field team. We are joined by the head coach and Gazette, Medina County Gazette Girls Track and Field Coach of the Year, Matt Sofranko. And we are also joined by the girls MVP, the Medina County Gazette MVP for girls track and field, Olivia Komperda. Matt and Olivia, or Liv, we want to thank you guys for coming on.
Thanks for having us. Very much appreciate the opportunity to get on here and talk about some stuff. So.
Absolutely. Hey, we're it's no secret. For those of you who have never watched the show before, a couple of us are from Brunswick, so it's always special when we get to interview people from student athletes and talk about the Brunswick programs. But in this case, no nepotism here. They showed out on the track. So let's start with you, Coach. A tremendous showing. We'll get to Liv too, as she qualified in three events, but. Talk about the season and kind of what the 25 season brought for your team.
The big thing, I was thinking about this a lot when we first talked, and this season was marked by a couple things, and I think that the crux of it all is hard work that was really put in over the course of the off season and over the course of years by kids like Liv, kids like Zaria, kids like Maggie. I'm the first to admit that we have kids that do the work on their own. We've had this talk before where track and field season's long. We start, if you're in indoor, we start in January, and if you make it all the way to the state meet, you're going. It's pretty intense all the way until June, and that's pretty long. 6 months of just really intense hard work all the way to the end. So a lot of times, what happens is we have a lot of kids that jump into the cross country season, like Liv, for instance, essentially in July. It's less than a month off almost. And then we have a lot of other kids that do other sports, whether it's volleyball or whether it's gymnastics, or whether it's swim. So my motto is I don't need to bug. If you're in another sport, I don't need to bug you. You don't need to come see me unless it's just to tell me how good your other season's going. But if you're not in another sport, you need to be out there running 3-4 days a week. They don't even have to be long runs. You need to be out there lifting. If you're throwers, we have great, coaches that get involved. Coach Zach had some throwing stuff in the off season. That really helped a lot of kids grow. And in the end, it is dedication. It's dedication to getting better that has made a lot of it really turn into what it is. Again, I'll say, Liv is a good example. She's the first one I thought of to talk about this because she started as a freshman and has made those transitions, as you read in the article, from event group to event group, from one sport to the next sport, from being a 5-foot high jumper to not high jumping her senior year. It's been trust in the process and hard work that the kids have put in more than anybody. So that's what really brought it to where it is.
And Liv, a great article by Rick Noland in the Medina County Gazette. Make sure you check out Rick Noland and the rest of the Gazette stuff. Really, really good stuff. You want to talk about local high school sports. Liv, I mean, the article laid it out pretty well. You played basketball and transitioned into cross country. The track's always been there. What was the transition from basketball to cross country? And we'll get to your season. There's plenty to talk about there, but going from basketball to cross country, how did that transition come to be, and how did you shift from one to the other and essentially excel at cross country?
I felt like once I got deeper into track, I didn't even know how much I was gonna like it till I just kept racing and I saw the improvement that I was having, and I wanted to do anything I could to be as good as I possibly could at track. And then on the way home from state, a few people mentioned to me of like how good I could be at cross country and how much that would help me in track. So I just like, it was kind of a quick decision. I really didn't think about it at all. I just was like, okay, let's do it. And then a few days later, I texted my coach that I was done with basketball. I did love basketball, but I just wanted to do what was best for track. And then I felt like I really didn't stop to think about anything. Just joined cross country. It felt like, I don't know, it came easier to me. The training was perfectly planned for me, so it didn't really feel like I was jumping into anything crazy, and it like worked out.
For you, Olivia, and then Coach can even answer this question as well. Going into Columbus, you finished 8th at the 800-meter run and 6th at the 4x400 relay with Zaria, Maggie, and Kaylee. You were the only girls to only reach the local squad to reach the awards podium in Columbus. Just kind of talk about how an awesome feeling that was for your team to accomplish something like that.
I knew we all had it in us. We worked so hard, and it was good to see everything come together, especially at the end. I just like looking through the times throughout the years, like everyone was just getting better every single meet.
Yeah, it was yeah. So again, this can go back and trust me, I know I'm long-winded, but we got there the last time our 4x4 was at the state meet was in 22, which was Liv's freshman year. Liv was on that team, and I had taken over in 2020, but I'd seen what Coach Watala and Coach McCune and all the coaching staff that had been there beforehand had done, and you just trust the process, and again, you trust the hard work. Liv talked about having the coaching all planned out. We're really, really fortunate that our coaching staff communicates the way it does. Coach Hunter obviously has been around for a long time, and he's got that figured out. He knows how it's going to go. He knows how to put the kids through what they can deal with, what they can handle. He has high expectations because he knows what it yields. And again, it's not a surprise that, Liv was on that 4x4 team as a freshman, doing sprint training, essentially, just hit fast forward to 4 years later, she's still on that 4x4 team doing cross country training. It's a lot of, like you said, live planning. It's a lot of hard work, and you see people getting faster and faster. You see Zaria getting faster throughout the season. Kayla, you mentioned Kayla. She's a freshman. She had not run 400s before this year, and we knew with the foot speed she had that she could be successful there. And I'll say this out loud. I knew she could go fast, and she started going fast, and she started going faster, um, and then it was a whole different notch in Columbus. I mean, again, and Maggie's another one who's 4 years of commitment to the program. How does it feel? I mean, it feels great to see two seniors, but also a junior and a freshman, and both our alternates are back next year. They were juniors. It's awesome to see buy-in. That's really, I mean, sure, it's great to see those kids get on the podium, but what's really great to see is them just getting faster, getting stronger, throwing farther, jumping farther. I really mean that. Some days it's as exciting at the end of the conference meet or at the end of a invitational as it is at the end of the state meet to some degree.
Hey, good stuff. Olivia, you excelled at both cross country and track. We've mentioned that, but when people that really don't know the difference between the two sports, just for you, talk about how the training differs in both, and how the two sports kind of merge into forming what your success that you've had.
From sprints to going to cross country, I felt like a lot more miles I didn't expect to run. I feel like sometimes when I'd go to sprint practice, I had actual easy days, but when I went to distance, it felt like nothing was ever easy. And then once we get from like distance running at a whole from cross country to like distance track, like workouts, track has a lot more speed, and like cross country is more like slower intervals. So I enjoy the track ones a lot more because I like working on my speed for like 400s and everything.
Nice.
She loves the 400.
Yeah, I do.
And coach, kind of going back to the team in general, you mentioned that different athletes that play the different sports, and we're getting into this age where it's specialization. You can only do one thing. Can you just explain how the experience of the different athletes that you have on the team, how they all mesh together, and how these athletes find their identity when it comes to track and field during the season?
Yeah, I'm going to say that I'm glad that's a great question. Specialization to one sport's a lie. And any D1 college coach and any sport is going to tell you that. I love that our kids do multiple sports. I absolutely love it. I love talking to Coach Ward and saying, hey, who should I be looking at? Who am I missed? Who don't I know? I mean, like I said, I'm a humongous proponent of kids doing multiple sports. And like I said, leaving them alone and watching them find their spots is exactly right. I mean, you can go back. A great example that I like to use, who was a graduate from 24, is Ella Dario. Came to us as a junior, had friends that did track and field, wanted to try track and field, showed up to sprint practice. We did some time trials, and there was some moderately impressive stuff. And then we went on 1-2 mile run, and she was going. I told her, I go, don't feel like you have to run with anybody. And she just took off. And I went to Coach Hunter that day and said, hey, man, she's in the wrong group. She's a distance runner. I can tell you that right now. And that's it. You just have to see it. We do time, for instance, sprint group. We do an indoor, we do a 60-meter time trial. We do a 300-meter time trial. The kids are running miles. When you have the kids that you don't know, you have to check it out. And you take some kids. I mean, there was a girl we had on the distance team a couple years ago who, was a hardworking kid who was getting incrementally better. And Coach Hunter looked at her and said, she was taller. She had, they say long levers and throws. She had long arms, long legs. And he said, you ought to try discus one time and let's get out there and see what it looks like. And before you know it, she's traveling, throwing disc. I mean, you have to be open-minded to it. And like, it's the same thing when you say in the era of specialization, I get it. You want to go to foot skills. You're playing club soccer. You're in club swim. You're doing travel basketball. I'm not going to fight it. I get it. You get 4 years. You get 4 years to try this stuff. I am not going to be the one who says, sorry, you can't do that, because that is, and I'll say it from the rooftop. It's the wrong mentality, and it's taking opportunities away from kids. And what you can do is work within their strength and work with them too. Don't get me wrong. I talk about this all the time. Our school record 800 holder, Ashley Mennick, did not run her senior year because she was fully committed to soccer and she had already committed somewhere. I understand it. It's got to be bigger. It's got to be bigger than what I want to do. You got to be able to bend. You got to be able to work with kids on it. And if there's one thing I'm really trying to do, it's trying to get kids to see, like, hey, I'm going to try and work with you because I want you to have as many opportunities to be successful in the small amount of time you have here, the short amount of time you have here. So.
We're talking with Brunswick girls track and field head coach Matt Sofranko and graduating senior and Kent State commit Olivia Komperda, both recognized by the Medina County Gazette as the coach of the year and the MVP for girls track, respectively. Coach, when we were kind of shooting the breeze while we were setting this up, you mentioned it a little bit earlier. Some of the past coaches that have been in charge of the program. I mean, this goes back to when we were in high school. When Dave Johnson was in charge, and some of the coaches that followed him but preceded you, and you had a really good view on it. And I'd like to talk about that here. The program's been highly successful for as long as we've been involved with Brunswick High School as students. How do you keep it at that level?
Well, I mean, like we've talked, every program has its ups and downs, and I guess really it's not having a fire sale on what you're doing the second you have a down year. I mean, you recognize that it's had consistent success over decades on how the program is operated, on how I'm meeting with the sprint girls in my classroom before practice, literally 30 feet away from where I sat down with Coach Johnson before sprint practice to have our meetings, where then 6 years later, I'm standing beside Coach Scott Merrill before the boys sprint practice starts, right? This is how it's gone, and it's January. I have my friends saying to me, "Oh, when does track start?" And it's February. I go, "We started." I mean, we're training. This is how it goes. Oh, it's a lot of time. It is. It's a lot of time, and it's always been a lot of time. And I think if you're doing it as much justice as you can, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. And like I said, another big thing there is not trying to absolutely rethink the wheel every time you don't have the results you want. Stick to the model to some degree. And sure, as new information comes out, you mix in some new drills, or you mix in a new workout, or you go to a coach that you trust and say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Again, don't get me wrong. You can get Coach Watala on here. There's been plenty of times I've texted her and she goes, what do you want to know? Just get to the point, Matt. And it's the truth, because I trust her, because I've trusted her when I was an athlete, based on just the success she had with the girls team. I know how her and Scott work together. Carrie Hunter's been there the whole time. What am I gonna do? I know more than them? That I would be a pretty arrogant person to think that was the case.
And
for you,
I gotta be honest with you. Sorry, Noah. I gotta be honest with you. That's not a mentality you see out of a lot of head coaches. And we've seen in other sports. And mind you, there's more than one way to do the job. I think a lot of us, if we imagine ourselves in that type of a position, what would we do? What would we do differently? What would we do that works? In the case here, I think the continuity that has been throughout the last 3 or 4 decades, obviously starting with Coach Hunter, that's not something you can overlook, and I think it's extremely that's leadership on your part, quite honestly, is I don't know everything. I got the title, but I don't know everything. So I need to rely on what I need to rely on what I need there. So it's pretty refreshing to hear. It's pretty refreshing to hear that, quite honestly. Um, shooting quickly over to Liv, and I know Noah's got another question for you. So I hope I don't take your question, Noah. But this kind of builds off of what we talked about with Coach, about working with student athletes and working, and seeing something. Maybe you start out as a sprinter and you move the distance. For you, how is it? How is it being? As versatile as you are, how are you able to shift between going from a relay to a individual distance to an individual sprint? How are you able to navigate that over the course of a meet or over your practice?
I almost think of it as intervals, like it is a practice if I'm at like a meet. If I have a 400 and 800 and a mile, I think of my 400 is like speed work. Go out as hard as I can, finish it. I don't know. I just like I take it one race at a time. I try not to think of like anything at all, and I just like go by my race plan. I pretty much plan out every single race that I run, and I just go by that plan and I stick to it most of the time. And Coach Hunter is really good at talking me through things, and that definitely helps when it comes to racing a bunch of different events.
And for you, Olivia, you'll be continuing your college career at Kent State. We're going to play girls track and field there. What really excites you most about going to Kent State to play girls track and field? And what are some of the things that you are really looking forward to at Kent State?
I'm really excited because my coach has a really good attitude about everything. She's super excited and super enthusiastic about what our team could be. We're definitely a younger team. We just recruited a lot of new girls and we have a transfer as well. Um, she wants me to try steeplechase. I'm excited for that. See how it goes. I know I did hurdles one time, but I'm excited for that. And then I think I'm sticking more to the 1500 too. And I'm excited to meet my teammates and have some new training partners because I felt like some of the workouts this past year or few years were all on my own. So I think it'll be good to have someone right there pushing me.
So, Coach, what's in store for you now? Just kind of a peek behind the curtain. You're a behind the curtain. Easy for me to say. Now the track is over. What's it like for you? What else do you do at the high school in terms of coaching, or is you just constantly planning on for the next season?
So it's literally today. So we have some trainings that we have to do annually. I literally just finished my training. Technically expires in a couple days here. So I just renewed my training for the next year. I just finished my CPR coursework. I literally just retested for my van certification in case I have to drive to smaller meets. So, like I said, in years past, a lot of what I've done is said to the kids, and Liv can account to this because she did this. Hey, you got nothing going on in the fall? Go run cross country. Oh, well, you got soccer going on? Cool. Dive in headfirst into soccer. We had a couple of our assistant coaches, again, more than me. I showed up to a few cross country practices and maybe met the kids for a couple of team runs at most. But the last couple of years, I've stayed away from it a little bit more until we get back to school and then we start thinking about it a little bit more. But I can admit that, like today, I said I finished everything because my goal was say be ready and recertified by the end of June, so that maybe I can start throwing a couple training days on with the kids in July, maybe in August. I don't ever want to, like I said, overwhelm a kid. We had a kid on the team a couple years ago who ended up running at Tri-C. Her name was Kira May. And whatever it was 4 years ago, I said to all the kids, run 3 days a week. Here's some lifts you should do. You did the lifting throughout the season. These are the lifts you should be doing. You should be doing core all the time. And that's exactly what she did. She fully bought into it. Bella Weinman, Maggie Romano, Zaria Roberts, like I said, they were big ones that really bought into the off season, going out and holding themselves accountable. But I'd like to get a little more FaceTime with the kids in July and August. But again, I'm pushing the kids to, you can do whatever you want when no one's watching. And that's the important time. As far as for me personally, like I said, I know the kids get sick of seeing me every day after 6 months. And so I try and stay away a reasonable amount. And in my personal time, yeah, I spend time with family and friends. It's a little weird when we get back to school and that, 2:30 hits and I don't have to go to practice. I go home. I start to get a little, it's crazy because I mean, and Liv knows it. I mean, sometimes with the sprint groups, especially the throws group, we're in the weight room in January till 6 o'clock at night, and we started practice at 2:45. Um, so those are long days. So it's a balance of trying to let the kids know that I'm thinking about it. I'm absolutely thinking about it, but also knowing that like, hey, you don't need to see me every day to be successful. And again, kids like Liv are an example of that. You don't need to be talking to me all the time. I'm telling you, or in her case, she's got Coach Hunter and Coach. Actually, I say Coach Hunter. You know, we're also lucky we have two Coach Hunters on the team. We have Coach Carrie Hunter. And we have Coach Brent Hunter, who's been coaching middle distance and working with cross country. It's actually Carrie's son, who was a very talented runner in high school and at Tiffin. So it's always. So what is that? Did I answer your question? What are we doing? What's on the menu?
Yeah.
The menu is, thinking about teaching. And I mean, obviously my primary job is I'm a teacher, which I don't have to think about too much right now. So once we get back in, it's getting back to work there, and it's playing that game. I always use the term spinning plates. In my personal life, I do some music stuff part time too. So it's getting a little bit more time for that in there, and trying to enjoy these heat waves out here. So.
Hey, Olivia, I did have a question. You know, you did graduate this year. You know, you've well accomplished during high school. Have you had any time to kind of sit and reflect and about your, you know, even your middle school and high school career, and in terms of you being on, you know, cross country, basketball, track, you know, what was one of your most fondest memories that you had during your high school in athletics?
I definitely feel like it's the state meet. I think now I can look back and see like my successes throughout the years, but I feel like my brain's been nonstop just looking at the goal every single time. I end the season, I'm like, okay, well, cross country now. Got to make it to cross country state. And then it's like after that, just like it just keeps going. So now I can look back. This state meet, I like it was over so fast. It felt like, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, it was like a shock of just how good it went. I felt like everything that happened was like in my favor, and I never thought I didn't even think about getting on the podium in the 800. That was never a thought in my brain. And coach walked up to me before I went to the line and he was like, after the podium, make sure you stay loose. I was like, after the podium. And then I got on the podium. Pretty much everything he said I was going to do this year, I did, which is crazy. So I was like, okay, well, he said last week maybe run 2:14 and I ran 2:12. And I was like, okay, so I can get the podium. And then it happened. And then I was like, I didn't want to be excited about that yet. I was like, okay, now 4x4, got to get the 4x4 on the podium. And then we got fifth place. And that was like, or it was insane. Like, I really didn't know what to think. But
So you know, it's impressive to hear you talk about how goal focused you are. Because I'll be honest with you, we were high school athletes. That focus you have, not there all the time for a lot of high school athletes. So, can you just talk about how that got ingrained in you? That goal, you're motivated by that goal. Was that, you know, someone in your past growing up? Is that your, you know, parents, a family member, coaches you had in the past?
my parents put no pressure on me whatsoever. I think I've always been very self-disciplined. Even when I was younger, I would do something bad. My parents wouldn't discipline me because I was doing it myself. Like, I just, I think it's all like self-taught. I have like my mom's cousins are definitely more like me, but they never even put any pressure on me either. So every single like off season, I write down what goals I want to meet, like time wise. I write down a season overview after after every season, just to go over the season. Um, I think it's all just through myself.
Well, very good. Self-disciplining children. Boy, that is a
Rarity.
wonderful idea.
I think that's the exception, not the rule there for some of us dads here. I can tell you that. Um, we're talking with Matt Sofranko and Olivia Komperda from the Brunswick girls track and field, and Olivia finishing finishing eighth in the 800, sixth in the 4x4, 13th in the 4x8. I mean, three events as a senior. That's no joke. Not only that, you weren't even 100% for all of this. So I want to talk a little bit about that. about how you were able to gut through what was going on with your right hip.
I feel like once I was diagnosed and I knew what was going on and I knew I could do more damage, that took a lot of pressure off me. A lot of workouts were really hard to get through just because I felt like I had no pickup in my right hip at all. Like doing intervals, I wasn't making my times. It was really stressful because before that I made every single interval time. Like there was no doubt I was gonna make my times. And then just to watch that like fall apart, and I knew what I had to do this year to meet my goal, and it felt like I wasn't doing that. Once I got told that like my hip was torn, I can't make any more damage, then I was like, this is just something I'm gonna have to deal with till I can get surgery. Just do the best I can. They gave me some pain meds to take down the swelling and everything, and that helped a little bit. I would try to only take it on interval days and meet days, and it definitely helped. I think so. Um, I don't know. It was a mental battle mostly. Definitely physically too, but just getting through it mentally.
Sounds like a veteran NFL player who isn't able to, doesn't, maybe sits out a few days of practice for rest, and then when the game pops in, it's go time. Coach,
Mhm.
having witnessed this, um, talk about from the coaching side of it when you're watching this go through, and what she's trying to do to make sure she's ready to go for when it counts.
Um, yeah, that's a mental game too, right? You know what it is. There was, and when exactly what Liv said is once we knew what it was, and I remember having those conversations with Coach Hunter, thinking like, oh, man, is this a fracture? Is this a tear? What's going on? Because you you get, and again, you get into the territory of fracture. We're in a whole different monster, and again, no, once we knew, like Liv said, once you knew it was just pain management at that point, um, and just understanding that it's not like your leg's going to fall off. You're not going to hit the ground, um, for out of nowhere, which, we've seen injuries happen that are, instantaneous injuries, um, which are tough. But yeah, and once then it was just like knowing, and a million times, we'd watch the races at the end of the year. I showed off that if you had a mile split account, you see that 4x4 race. I showed a lot of people that 4x4 race, a lot of my friends, and when Liv gets that stick in the prelims, and I think one of my friends and my wife were both like, "This looks like a gazelle," and I'm like, "Yeah," and she's running that with the torn labrum. Like, I mean, I, I want to say I felt for her on that injury, but I didn't. I thought, I mean, I think about it all the time. Not only did she have to think about it all the time, she had to feel that all the time. And you just go, oh man, you want to, my wife and I don't have any children. And I say that to the kids on the team. I say to my students a lot of time, I don't have any children, so I can give you the energy that I want to give to you guys as far as it goes mentally. And like, you wish you could just take that away. You wish you could just snap your fingers. Okay, it's fixed. It's fixed. Let's go. So yeah, like Liv said, the workouts start to get harder. I remember specific workouts being out there, going up to Coach Hunter and going, "How's it going?" And it's going. We knew it was going to be a hard workout, and it's kicking their butt. And again, we could talk about Liv on this one. We had another girl on the team, Marissa Miller, who dropped a weight on her foot in the weight room, not this season, but the season before, and had to battle through what essentially ended up being a toe injury. And still, it was just like, hey, we're going to gut it out. And she's gutted it out all season. And that's why she was with us all the way up. Yeah, it's tough because like I said, I have this, maybe it is a paternal instinct just as a teacher and as I watch these kids grow up. I just want to make it easier for them, but I don't want to take away their struggle. You say you take away somebody's struggle, sometimes that's taking away their motivation too. So it's a mental battle, I guess. A lot of conversations.
Coach, and Olivia can answer this question as well. I'm sure it had to feel really excited to see all the Brunswick families for the girls' track and field and the support from the Brunswick community. Just kind of talk about how awesome it is just to see the Brunswick community really support your team throughout the whole season.
Go for it, Liv.
Oh, I feel like it felt great. I feel like the parents came in with a new energy this year. everyone was closer. All the parents were closer. All like teammate wise, we were all super duper close. So that felt really good. I feel like we got a lot of attention from even like other sports congratulating us from what we've been accomplishing. It feels great to have everyone behind you.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's nice to see. It's nice to see the parents and the community getting excited about it. And like I said, you go through those, I say down seasons. I mean, we've been successful, but this was obviously just, the kind of success we hadn't had in, somewhere close to 6, 7, 8 years. And to see people getting really excited about, again, we're sitting here talking about track and field. It's exciting. It's exciting. It's exciting to be like, Ed, when you called me, I was like, yeah, absolutely. Oh, how long do we got? You know what I mean? I'd love to talk about this. I sit there. I don't ever hide it. I'm very close friends with Joe Francis Cangley, who's the North Royalton coach. We've known each other for a long time. And he comes over here in the summer. I go over there. My wife always says, "All you guys, you're going to just talk about track and field the whole time?" Like, yeah, I'd do this. And yeah, when we're having results, and you see, like I said, other people getting excited about it. I got my friends going, "Hey, you guys are doing pretty good, huh?" They don't know left to right anything on when it comes to the track and field board or the field or whatever. But it's fun. Adds a different level to it.
I'll I'll end with my question. This could be my last personal question for the night. And this is kind of for both of you, but Olivia, we mentioned that you're very, goal focused, and you're heading into Kent State, and you're trying some new different things. You're looking to do some different training, actually training with some teammates now. But as you enter your first season, it's a big change off to college. What are some goals, if you have any, if you'd like to share that you have just in the short term and maybe long term as well?
I haven't really had a chance to think about that a lot since I just got surgery 2 weeks ago on my hip. So, first thing is getting healthy and getting back to running. I
Well,
feel like
let's
that's
stop there. Let's stop there. How are you feeling? My apologies, didn't know you had surgery, but how are you feeling? Everything good there?
okay. I feel great. Everything worked out perfectly. I can actually walk now. I feel like I went by
Okay.
pretty fast. I'm walking with no crutches, no brace anymore. So feels great to be walking around. I got on the bike today for the first time. So from here on out, I'm gonna be cross training, getting ready to run again. But that's not gonna be for 4 months. So just looking at getting better and healthy for. I'm not gonna be able to run cross country, but for track, definitely.
Now, what are you going? Do you have a major? What are you looking to go to school for?
I'm studying just general business and we're looking into different minors, but we're going to look into that, I think, more next semester. I want to do medical sales, so just keeping an open mind for everything.
That is a
And
fantastic industry.
yeah,
I hope you get into that.
Yeah.
and Coach, my final question for you is, what if you have any young like middle school track, or people just getting into high school thinking about doing track, like, do you have any suggestions for them? Like any, what would you say to a young athlete that's looking to get involved in something, but, as a 14, 15-year-old, maybe not that courageous yet to make that step?
Yeah, not that courageous. If this is my opportunity to spit courage out into the world, just go out and try it. Go out and, I mean, we have. I went to the middle school parent meeting this year, and when they sat down with before the track season, and I asked the question. I said, "How many of your kids have done basketball, football, baseball, something else before this year? They've done that for years before this." And most of the parents raised their hand. How many of you, this is your kid's first or second year doing track and field? And most of them raised their hand. It's something new. There have been some youth programs throughout the community, but it's not very prevalent. If just go out and try it, we'll find a spot. We'll find a spot. And I can, we can sit here and talk about the state qualifiers, podium. We can talk about districts, regionals. We can talk about school records, whatever. I mean, everybody who's been on this team, this is my hope that they feel this way. Every kid that stuck it out on this team or joined this team and tried to be a part of this team, they know, I hope they know that the results are awesome and the results are why we're having a conversation right now. But that's not the most important thing to me. And I know that sounds so cliche, but I mean, like these kids live, the kids have fun.
Yeah.
They get into it. They realize, yeah, it's hard. The training is hard. Yeah, it's cold out. Are we running outside today, coach? It's 35 degrees. We had a joke. This is the best weather we're going to have till April. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, of course we're getting outside today. Why I don't have my gloves? Are your sleeves long enough to tuck your hands in? Let's go. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to get kids frostbite. And yeah, of course, we're always saying you should have a full bag of cold stuff, warm stuff, layers, dry stuff, maybe even 2 pairs of shoes if you can make that work. If not, we'll make it work. But just take a chance on it. Try it. It is a sport that has. Well, I don't like to run. What we want to try some throws, or are we going to try some shorter stuff? And again, you take a kid like Lib, who was a high jumper, was on our regional qualifying 4x1 or 4x2, our state qualifying 4x4 as a freshman, and you go, hey, try cross. And this is how the story goes for a lot of kids. And for some kids, like I said, they might never see the podium. They might never see the postseason. I always say, if we're talking about my experience when I was an athlete, I maybe did I make district finals once in one event. I certainly never got to the regional meet, but I'm here. I am literally. It's 2025. Here I am 20 years later, and I graduated in 2005, and I ran for 2 years of middle school, 4 years of high school for Brunswick. Yeah, there's the selling point. I'm not walking away from it.
Well, as a parent of an athlete who ran the 800 and PR'd her final race, and to see the joy in her face when she PR'd, it was well worth it. So
Yeah,
whatever you do, and keep up the good work.
yeah.
All right, you know what? That's a perfect place to end this here. I will say, Matt, some of the guys that I graduated with that ran track, and I think probably the most important thing, and Liv can probably speak to this. I mean, these are the friendships you make when you play in sports, and I think it might even I think it's almost accentuated more in track with all the time you spend with each other, and the meets and the practices. It's a really really close bond that gets formed with a track and field team. I mean, we literally reduced our friend, the Collins brothers. We literally named one of them Track. We don't even use his real name anymore. He goes by Track. He's the one who ran track, and we have football.
Yeah.
He played football with me. So it's such a tight community. It's a tight knit group that you guys have that gets created through the track community and track and field. So it's tremendous. I'm glad we were able to talk about it. And give you guys a platform to talk about your seasons and talk about the program. So we thank you both for coming on. Matt, enjoy the rest of your summer. Olivia, get healthy, and hopefully maybe we'll check in with you after you're done at Kent State if you don't if you don't mind, because we'd love to see it continue doing really really good things.
Well, thanks for having us, and I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
All right, that is Matt Sofranko and Olivia Komperda. They are the Medina County Gazette's head coach of the year for girls track and field and the MVP for girls track and field, respectively. And we want to thank them for joining us on the Sports on Tap Summer Spotlight. That's going to wrap it up for this edition here. So make sure you're following us on YouTube. We are at Sports on Tap. Like and subscribe. Get the notifications we are about to go live on the air. Or we have a lot of great content coming up. Noah's doing some fantastic work this summer, talking to a bunch of different programs. So make sure you're following us on Twitter /X at SOT Podcast. Check us out on Facebook, Sports on Tap. Our website, sportsontappodcast.com. We're on Spotify. Make sure you find us on Spotify. At Threads at SOT_podcast. And any questions, comments, or if you have any suggestions for who you want us to talk to, send us an email at sportsontappodcast@gmail.com. All right, for Josh Jeffy, Noah Jacobson, Sean Duffy, and Rob Troutman, my name is Ed Dick. This is Sports on Tap's Summer Spotlight presented by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance, and we will see you on the other side.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com. Elevate your brand with Mako Custom Printing. Mako Custom Printing specializes in creating high-quality spiritware, corporate apparel, and promotional products that make your brand stand out. Whether you need custom printing, graphic design, or an online store for your school or business, we've got you covered. Make a statement with Mako Custom Printing. Visit us at mako.com to start your custom printing journey today. That's MEHCO.com.